He's an island boy. What year was that the Island Boys came out? When did the Island Boys hit the scene? I think that's what they call it. Hit the scene. 2021? Really? Frankie and Alex Venegas? Venegas? Their names are Frankie and Alex. Oh, those sad little people. Controversial TikTokers. Oh, really? 2021? It feels like they hit the scene like decades ago. Hi, I'm Rob. And sometimes I look up random things that come to my mind because they're Island Boys. Oh my God. Wait, what? Island Boy busted? Frankie is known as Kodiak Red? Jesus. Oh, God. Anyways, we're not going to talk about the Island Boys. The only Island Boys we're going to mention in this live stream of the news are the Best Friend Island Boys. They weren't brothers, but they certainly were best friends. It was Don, the Ron Bon. Don, the anchor. He's an anchor baby. They're anchor babies. Be Best. You know, this immigrant came here on an Epstein Buddy 1 visa, EB1. I think that's what it stands for. They're Island Boys. They're Island Boys. I don't know any more of the lyrics. They're Island Boys. All right. The Island Boys. Frankie and Alex Island Boy. I think that's their last name. Island Boy. Island Boy. No. Frankie and Alex Venegas. 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 That's how I would pronounce it. One is known as Fly Soldier, and the other one is known as Kodiak Red. Fly Soldier. What is that, an Air Force reference? I'm Fly Soldier. My God. Just talk about the youth of today being misled, you know? The youth of today being misled. We had Milli Vanilli. We had stuff like, you know, Island Boys. But, you know, it really makes me worry about the youth, you know? Like, they don't have a Tupac. They don't have a Kurt Cobain, you know? The youth doesn't. They have a Billie Eilish, a William Eilish, as I call her, because I'm not close with her, so I address her formally. It's the Ested U. Eres Ested U. It's the more proper pronunciation when you're addressing William Eilish. But they don't have a Tupac. They don't have a Kurt Cobain like my generation did. You know, my generation had a Kurt to express our apathy with society, and then Tupac to be the revolutionary thread of our DNA. And, you know, so the kids nowadays, they got the Island Boys, you know? The kids nowadays have the Island Boys, and then they have people like Tim Pool, which, I don't know if you've seen this. Did I get a picture? Oh my God, okay. So, if you're new to the live pod, the streamcast, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. My name is Rob, and I go out into the jungles, the news jungles, every day, and I hunt down. I get my blow dart gun, and I collect poison toads, and I roll the little darts on their backs, and I go out into the news jungle, and I drop the news for you. I collect it all up, and I bring it here for you. And if you've been a subscriber, a casual viewer, as YouTube likes to call it, you know I reference Tim Pool quite often. And today, cruising through Reddit, one of the news jungles that I have to sift through and cite my sources, I found a little gem, a little Tim Pool tweet gem on Reddit. Come here, buddy. Come on. Here's one of my news hyenas. He helps me hunt down the news. All right, hold on. We'll show him the Tim Pool. So this is a Tim Pool tweet, I'm guessing. I went to a diner with my girlfriend and was told it was a 20-minute wait. Only after a few minutes, a couple walks in and was seated right away. I complained and left right away. I don't tolerate BS. I don't tolerate people who think I should care when they do. Tim, do you know what a reservation is? I also love like deeper than what's up J666? What's going on? Yadira, hello. Which is gracias for being here. Who else? One is known as King Chomo, the other known as Chomo Potos. Tim Pool is just Hitler. Yeah, he is. He 100% is. He's a Russian asset. You know, he was paid 100,000 a week by Russia, but he got duped. Poor Tim. He got tricked by Russia into taking tons and tons of money, which is not a normal amount. My favorite part of when he got exposed for taking dirty Russian money to promote propaganda, uh, was so many YouTubers were like, "Listen, I've done it. I've done the occasional advertising deal. I've done a promo before. We've been paid for videos, and it's not even close to that much. So it's like you knew something was up. Like I love how if you're a right wing grifter and the president will pardon anyone, we'll get into his pardons too. Uh, you could just do shit like this. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, they're screaming about like Hunter Biden's laptop. Where's the people being upset over this? You know. Um, we'll get to some meme news, and then we're going to talk about Donald Trump. Man, you know he had an MRI. He doesn't know if it was on his brain. Did you hear that audio? That was you. That was you. I'll play that audio for you. But Donald Trump, very upset, right? Very upset over the National Guard attack. You see his little dog on a leash, his little chihuahua, Stephen Miller out there barking real loud, you know. And you'd think if Donald Trump really cared, he would have ordered all the flags to half staff, right, for the National Guard. I mean, he did in a heartbeat. He did immediately. Hold on, is this? No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here we go. He did immediately when Charlie Clan, that's what I call him, when Charlie Clan got, the Donald came right out immediately and said, flags, half staff, do it. Some people, I forget who, there was somebody, was it in Maine? Somebody's like, not for a podcaster, nah. Which rightfully so, you know. So, you know, just other things to observe when they're outraged. When they're outraged, you know. What's up, Karen? What's up, KMC? Hi, Kitty. This is one of my news hyenas. He goes right after the news when I poison dart it. I go, you gotta roll the little dart. I whittle the darts myself, and I go out into the vast news jungles to collect the news for you. But this is kind of amazing, right? With all the outrage. With all the outrage, Donald Trump's so outraged, he's going to send 500 more troops. He forgot in his propaganda, in his, faux outrage, he forgot to order the flags to be lowered. He forgot. He cared so much, he just forgot, and still hasn't done it. In case you're wondering, there is a congressperson who's seeking to have the flags lowered. You know, there's so much going on. There's so many things he's outraged about. You know, he's calling people the R word. There's really a lot for Donald to have going on. He had an MRI. Did you see the photo of him from the weekend? Not this one. That was a different weekend. That was a boys afternoon in, or as I call it, or no, a guy's afternoon in is what I called it on radio. He was having a guy's afternoon in. It's known as gay. It's a GAI, guy's afternoon in. Did you see the photo of Supreme Leader, Chicken Supreme? Mr. MRI won't tell us what it was on. This is a photo of him at his golf club this weekend. Looking spry, you know. Looking ready to invade Venezuela. Si se puede. Fuck this dude. By the way, I didn't see this picture going around on the internet. I don't know if you guys seen this from October 23rd, 2004. Oh, for you young kids. We used to have to get our film developed, and you could set a setting on your camera for it to print the date, and it used to look like that. Yeah. We didn't rely on like Facebook or websites to tell us what day we posted things. We would have this little thing in the corner, and on the backside, on the flip side, you would write a little note. Here, the note probably would have been DJT blowing Bubba. That's probably what the note on the back of this one said. But I hadn't even seen this. This is like hadn't even crossed my feed. And then of course, as soon as I see it, I'm like, whatever. There's a lot of stuff floating around. But it turns out this photo is real. I mean, I've just seen so much stuff, sizzled up like this. AI is running rampant. I didn't realize this is a real photograph. And in this article, I did not link this one down below. All the other ones we plan to talk about will be linked down below. The article that went into this showed like every AI analyzer with this photo. So, I mean, that's kind of crazy, right? That's a real photo. I don't know if you've seen it, but kind of crazy. This we know is 100% from this weekend. What is he doing? Eating a flower? Looks like he's trying to eat a flower. Oh man, old dementia Donnie. Don't eat that, buddy. That's not a Big Mac. Don't eat that. Stop. How do I stop him? All right. But yeah, so Donald Trump outraged over the National Guard being illegally deployed to cities. Did you see the was it the National Guard Sarah something? You see her boyfriend do an interview? Sarah Beckstrom, that's it. Her boyfriend was doing interviews saying that she believed her deployment to Washington was pointless. So sad. It's so tragic. And for what, We talked about here on this channel. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Ooh, come here, kitty. We've talked about, how when he first sent the National Guard to DC, there was many photo ops of them just cleaning up trash, cleaning up the streets. Literally, not metaphorically, not like cleaning up the crime. Like the National Guard was just on trash duty, which seems like a waste, to be spending that much money to be calling people away from their home and family, especially around the holidays, to, all for show. It's a show of force. It's not really necessary. And again, if you've hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, I'm not going to go through the stories again. DC, the crime was down, all this stuff that they admit to until they need it to be different, and then they say a bunch of different things. And the proof was that, when the Guard was deployed, they were just cleaning up trash. They weren't really serving a purpose. So that's horrific, man. That's horrific. And what's even worse is this is being used, this moment in time is being used by this dude to stoke fear, hatred, and divide in our nation. Because, what was it? The White House got right on it when Kirk got. Everything half-staffed. They had a huge monster truck rally for his funeral or whatever they did. I don't know, pyrotechnics. And they're using this one to just try to stoke more fear. I mean, really, this regime is so unpopular that any little event, anything, anything that happens, they're trying to use as a justification to push their power, their force beyond what it is. And if you've been paying attention to the news, even poorly, you know that there's some pretty gnarly stuff going on. Did you see the Pete Hegseth finally getting investigated? I honestly didn't even want to talk about this. We mentioned this a while back, that there was a story about, I forget, Trinidad, Venezuela. There was a story about a wife doing an interview saying her husband was a fisherman. He went out fishing and he never came home. And it just so happens to coincide with around, I forget what the time period on this was, September 2nd. Okay, so it was right around the beginning of September 2nd. If you want to go watch that live stream, we talked about it on there. But where Hegseth, old Fox News weekend warrior, was ordering these attacks off the coast of Venezuela. And the big thing, the big narrative I've seen, which has been irritating, these people debating on CNN, and this is how deep you see our country is propagandized. Like really, we've gone off the rails. Like normal discussion would be here, and we've gone off the rails. And my point is that in listening to, I don't know if it was CNN, Fox, CNBC, I've listened to everything, Newsmax, I've listened to all these different interviews of people debating, you know, these narco dronings, right? And the debate still has some semblance of like civility. Like, well, don't you believe that we should? And it's like, that's not the conversation. The conversation isn't, do you believe that we should be, you know, having proof, some kind of due process? The conversation is, if they're ordering this and they have no proof, that's just a war crime. Because you have to have some kind of proof. You have to. You have to say, well, this is this. Because all the debates I saw on TV, well, I wasn't watching on TV, online. All the debates, I should find one, centered around like, don't you believe we should have a modicum of evidence before? And it's like, if you don't have evidence, then there really is, like, you couldn't take this to court, right? We're going to talk about Luigi going to court, and they have evidence that they want to use against him. That's the whole thing of due process. This government is saying, trust me, bro, these are the worst people ever. And if we go off their track record, they're not really believable. I mean, at all. Remember when the president said, I don't doodle, and then the doodle of his poem to Jeff Epstein came out? So, I mean, these people are just pathological liars. So you would need, like, the conversation is, oh, we should be trying to get due process. The conversation is if you don't have evidence, if you're just doing this and saying those people are that, then you're no better than those people. You're no better than anyone else who doesn't abide by the laws or the rules or some kind of standard. And I didn't hear that at all in the public discourse. And that was really bothering me. Really bothering me. I couldn't believe there were, like, you know, people paid money to pretend to, you know, be commentators on the news and have this facade of like, well, you know, maybe we should be. No. The government said these were the worst people ever, and they had so many bad things on their boat, they just had to get rid of them. And now what he's being investigated to is that after the boat, you know, was pretty much demolished and there were people still hanging on in the water, he ordered worse things for them. Where's the tweet I have for that? Hold on. Oh yeah, look at this. No new wars. Congratulations, world. It's time for peace. Do you support the military? I mean, these people are just frauds. You know, they're just frauds. But this was one of the tweets, blue skeets, whatever it is, I seen. Department of Defense. And meanwhile, this ties into the last week hubbub of Donald Trump getting his panties in a bunch because of veterans coming out and saying, "Hey, you're all you active military. Your duty is to uphold the Constitution, not something a president wants you to do." You know, we're not the United States of one president. We have a Constitution. We have, I hate to say it, law and order. Hate to say it because we don't really. We have power and those without. That's really what we have. But I mean, if you want to pretend like there is some standard of justice, then you would refuse illegal orders. Now, there was a lot of people very upset and defending the president, but this was an interesting point that I don't think too many people considered. And now with the news of Pete Hegseth, Fox News weekend anchor, now Department of War Botox leader. He gets Botox. Funny as shit. He gets Botox. So Lawrence Tribe on Blue Sky says Department of Defense Law of War Manual, Section 18.3.2.1 states the requirement to refuse illegal orders. What's its key example? Wait for it. It's, quote, orders to fire upon the shipwrecked. You read that? Orders to fire upon the shipwrecked. So, I mean, if somebody's shipwrecked, they can clearly be easily taken prisoner, right? I don't know if you've ever been in a ship and seen somebody shipwrecked, floating there in the water. Not much more of a threat. That's just science. While they're treading water trying to stay alive. So then we fast forward to the articles of today. An old Hegseth, again, Botox number one customer. I bet you they love him at the Botox salon. Where do you go to get Botox? I don't know. Look at that Botoxed face. Definitely looks like a face that had some botulism injected into it. And weekend news host Pete Hegseth, he was ordering to this. Everybody aboard a boat. And once that boat was smashed into pieces and there were people left, he ordered a second strike. Again, the definition of a illegal order. So it's interesting at how hypersensitive the right and the cult, the MAGA loyalists are to protect the president. You saw Karen Levitt, let's just call her Karen. Karen Levitt going out there and saying everything the president says is a legal order. It's like, well, that's just really not how the world works. You know what I mean? It's a good try. That was a good one. That was sneaky. Everything he says is legal. He's the president. When you think about it, this is pretty slick. Pretty slick, Karen Levitt, with your Jesus cross. Well, every order he gives is legal because he'll just change the law. He'll executive order the law to be changed. J666. Yep, you can't fire upon an already damaged boat. They are no longer combatants. They are required to be rescued and taken in as POWs. Yes. It's insane, though, when you think about how the hype was surrounding President Trump. And listen, by no means necessarily, I'm not saying he hasn't given illegal orders. A lot of people are saying the orders for the National Guard to be deployed, illegal. Many of those federal judges, him trying to use the military against his own citizen. But leave that to the judges. You know, I'm just a simple, news commentator and vibe guru. Okay? That's why you hit subscribe and you hit the notification bell. Because we comment on it, you know? But I'm not here to buy into that paradigm of like, shouldn't they have evidence? No, I'm here to say, like, if they're just doing this with no evidence, these are the bad guys. These are the bad guys, folks. CNN, MSNBC, News Nation, Fox News, they want you to pretend like we're going to entertain the conversation of, well, maybe they should have evidence. Maybe we'll let the judges decide. No, very clearly, can you understand that if you think you're the good guys, but you have no standard, have no guide, have no system in place, and you think you're the good guy and you can just have a free for all, have that. And by no means is this the first time the U.S. has engaged in stuff like this. WMD. Oh, there's a whole plethora of stuff. But we're going to talk about the one in the news right now, especially because I feel like the conversation has shifted so far away. It's really drifted into people thinking like, well, if they're not going to have evidence and they're just going to say it, okay, because that's dangerous territory, you know. I really want you to think about that. That's horrifying. Because if they can do whatever they want, they don't have to have due process, they don't have to have evidence, what separates them from the people who they're trying to protect us from? If the people there, I mean, at least I'll tell you this: there are some criminals who have a code of morality. You know, in talking with former mob guys, when my time in radio, you know, a lot of the time they say, "Hey, women and children." You know, there was at least some facade of a code, at least, even if they didn't go by it all the times. Like they had at least some kind of code, right? The criminals at least have a code of like no women and children. This regime and their state-run media, the mainstream media, the lamestream media, the corporate media, which does not want to upset Donald Trump, so they'll entertain these conversations. They're literally just saying, well, shouldn't you? Well, how is the conversation not, this is war crimes, and starting from there? This is, do you have the evidence? Do you have the pieces from the boat? I mean, here's the thing, folks. We have the technology, you know, hyper zoom in, fly one of those drones down real close and scan it. Don't you have some kind of sci-fi scanning thing? I'm sure the CIA has this, you know, and scan it and go look at those packages. You know, bring us something. Bring us something, or at least stop the boat. Here's a crazy idea. We have this thing called the Coast Guard. You can stop them. And the Coast Guard has big ships and big weaponry. Huge, as Donald likes to say. And you could just overrun them and confiscate everything and go, here it is. See, here's the proof, guys. Because anything less than that, you know, we are America. We spend all of our money on war things. All of our money on, we don't spend it on healthcare. We don't give the people here food. We don't care about our citizens' education. We don't give a shit about, you know, kids going hungry, people having housing. We care about none of that. But we do spend all of our money, our tax money, our economy money. Stock market is basically BlackRock. We spend all that money on the best military equipment. We have the best in the world. Supreme. There is no other. And you're telling me with all that money we've spent, with all that military gear, we can't stop these little fishing vessels that are allegedly smuggling drugs? Like, how is this not the conversation being on TV? Well, I'll tell you why. Because they're all bending the knee to this fascist dictatorship. They've all bent the knee. They all want mega mergers so one company can just own everything and they can take all the money and they'll just narrate the news to you even though your eyes and ears tell you other things. They just say, just trust us, bro. Just like this. Just like this. Because anything less than them saying, well, this is clearly war crimes. How do you look to defend yourself from this? Like, these are the clearest breach of fucking protocol, or there is no protocol. It's just, we got the drones, let's get rid of them, you know? Leading us eventually into what are some saying a war with Venezuela. And that's not me, that's these maggots. Not that one. Not that maggot. Sorry. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here. These maggots. Which, has anybody even looked in? Is this Gunther Eagleman, who's just an absolute moron? Has anybody looked into if he's actually an American? Is he a Russian op too? But I mean, look at this. They were cheering on no new wars until their leader, their chicken supreme in chief, hold on, let me show you. The very masculine. Very masculine. That was him over the weekend. This was him long weekends ago. Boys. But as soon as, mention, wait a minute, I thought you were the no new wars guy doesn't ask this question. Just so you know how this goes. If you are a no new wars guy, you go, we should be doing everything we can to stop him. He farted in a new from trying to have a military intervention. See what I mean? How slick and conniving and grifty and scammy and snake oily these people are. Celebrating no new wars, until a few months later when they're like, hey guys, what do you think about it? I'll tell you what, if you're a no new wars person, you're going, this is bullshit. Presidential language, if you're upset, the president has tweeted bullshit. So legally, it's presidential language now. Constitution equals Uno reverse card. Oh, let's see what's going on in the chat. Trump never gets in trouble, so Pete thinks he's going to be fine. Mauler. That's a cool name. Do you think okay, so here's the tricky thing. I don't think they will prosecute their own. My case in point, January 6th. All of those people received a pardon. Many of those have become multiple time offenders and re-locked up. You can look that up. I'm not wasting my time with it. And Donald Trump is known. I always listen, the reason they call me a vibe coach, a vibe guru, is because I give you some life hacks. If you're going into a new job, which no one's going to be because the economy is shit, I say, talk to the people who were there before, who used to work there. Talk to people who've been there the longest. If you want to get a gauge for what it's like working there, always talk to people who have already left and why they leave. What was it? You get a better job or did it suck? And then talk to people who have been there the longest. Because they'll tell you the ups and downs of seniority at that workplace. And if you talk to anybody who's worked for Trump, and there's a lot of them who have left, abandoned ship, like John Bolton, who Donald Trump pulled the Secret Service, his security from. Donald Trump pulled a lot of security from a lot of people, just wanting, needlessly endangering people, because he doesn't give a shit, as Marjorie Taylor Greene found out. He doesn't care. Unless you're doing something for him, he does not care about you. That's why I think it's so interesting that so many people who voted for him truly thought he cared about them. There was a good facet of people. There's some people that just love how much he hates other people. They just, hate is the gasoline to their, fucking F-250. But there are some people like those Arkansas farmers who were like, you said you loved us, you were for us. It's like, he doesn't even care about the people that work for him. Do you think, Mahler, that he would let Pete Hegseth take a fall for him? I think Pete is too much of a loyalist, When you have when you have certain people who are so loyal to the crown that they're willing to look the fool and endanger themselves in the eyes of history, because history is going to look horribly upon these people right now. And he's just allowing it. When you think about it, folks, that's all we got, is our legacy. You don't take anything with you in the afterlife. You just get your legacy. And what is your legacy? Well, Some people is going to be a lot of hypocritical stuff. Some people is going to be war crimes. Some people are going to be, lessons for the future. But I don't know if he'll, I don't think anything will happen to Pete Hegseth. But then again, when Donald Trump feels like you have not been as good of use to him, he will chew you the fuck up and spit you out. And he's like a woman scorned. Is that the saying? Trump wasn't on the political side the first time around. Now he knows what he's doing in there and you can't stop. I wouldn't say he knows what he's doing. I'll gladly die on my feet than bow to a cowardly little bitch like Trump. That's why I love EJ666. Watch your fucking mouth, John. Watch your mouth. I wouldn't say this guy knows what's going on. I just wouldn't. That brings me to another news story. I don't know if you heard old Don, Bubba's best friend, close friends with Bubba, but he got an MRI. And, normally if a president gets an MRI, that's, I don't know, news for the citizens. I would think a nation would want to know what you're getting an MRI on, just the leader of the country. And for him, it's a secret. I mean, even to himself. You don't believe me?
They asked about my
Hold on. Let me turn it up so you can hear this moron speak. I can't believe this fucking guy leads anything.
They asked about my MRI. MRIs are very,
Governor Walz actually had released the MRI records.
Will you tell us what it was
Governor
for?
Walz, you mean the incompetent Governor Walz? So if they want to release it, it's okay with me to release it. It's perfect.
What would we? Can you tell us what they were looking at?
For what, releasing?
No. What part?
He's so stupid. They gotta ask him like 10 times, like, what was the MRI for? He's like, for what? Releasing? This is the dumbest fucking dude ever. Like, if it wasn't so, again, if you're new here, I'm Rob. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. I deliver the news to use so you can do with it what yous please. I love to talk about the news. I just love conversation. But here on the live pod, the streamcast, here where I value-tain you, I created a word. It's called sad-larious. It's something that's terribly, terribly sad. Maybe it endangers many people. Maybe it's that our country has, the facade of having some kind of integrity has just been wiped away by a makeup-wearing old person. But it's also hilarious because, like, this dude is... If there's one thing he's made great again, it's being stupid. Like, if you are a stupid person, and no offense, you probably don't even understand I'm talking to you. Listen, if you're stupid, this is your fucking heyday. This is the golden era. When they were talking about the golden age, it's the golden age for morons and grifters. If you run a Bitcoin scam or some kind of fucking fake fraud scheme, I mean, this is your moment to shine in the sun. In a few years from now, you'll probably be in prison. But if you are a confident moron, if you are stupidity supreme and have no ethical guidelines or boundaries, this is really your time to shine. It is. And that's because the guy who's leading this free world, he's emboldened every confident moron to just go out there and be as confidently stupid as you can be. I'm going to play this for you again. We didn't even get to the end of it. But these reporters are just like, what did you get an MRI on? And he, like, can't fucking figure it. He's like, what am I releasing? Like, he is so dementiated. Is that a verb? I don't know. Listen to this, dude.
It's perfect.
What would we? Can you tell us what they were looking at?
Can you tell us what they were looking at?
For what, releasing?
The look on his face, I wish I could hit subscribe so I could grow this channel and I could get a computer where we can watch this together. Because the look on his face is like, it's very much like this, actually. It's almost exactly like this. He's just wearing different clothes. And it's just hilarious because the reporter's like, Jesus Christ, we're talking to a toddler. Jesus Christ.
No. What part of your body was the MRI looking
I
at?
have no idea. Which
Now, when I said they're keeping the MRI a secret, I didn't mean to the public. I meant to this fucking moron. He's like, I don't know, couldn't be the brain. Oh, I didn't finish playing it for you. Let's listen again.
The MRI looking
I
at?
have no idea. It was just an MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain because I took a cognitive test and I aced it. I got a perfect.
Has anybody had a kindergartner before? Anybody? I've raised a few kindergartners, okay? And when they come home from school, sometimes they don't know exactly how to describe what they did, but, you know, they did something. They're proud of it. And you're like, what'd you have a test on, buddy? He's like, I don't know, but I aced it because I got a big brain. Teacher said big brain. It literally feels like you have a kindergartner. Like that reporter was just like, what part of the body was the MRI? And he's like, I don't know. What does an MRI do? It can only be one thing, right? But it couldn't be the brain because I had a dementia test and I aced it. Like this dude is a moron.
MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain because.
What part of the body? I love that because most people don't understand. Most people probably think he's just repeating what part of the body, huh? No, I can tell. I'm a vibe coach, remember? He was almost asking her, and then he realized, don't look that stupid. They're gonna say something. They're gonna think it was the brain, and he goes, what part of the body? Well, it couldn't have been the brain. I'll tell you that much because this thing is sharp as a fucking butter knife.
For what, releasing?
No. What part of your body was the MRI looking
I
at?
have no idea. It was just.
Is this the unnecessary treatment that the health CEOs are sick of giving out? The president is just going for MRI. We don't know why. He just likes the machine. It's like a ride to him, you know? And he's really old, folks. He can't, go to the carnival anymore. He can't go to Six Flags. He's not that. He's not that dude. So, to get him out on the weekends and have some fun, they take him to the MRI machine. And they go, just let it do the whirling sound. He loves it. Let him get in there and ride the thing. This fucking dude. He's so stupid. Oh my God. If he said it wasn't the brain, I guarantee it was the brain. He's got dementia or Alzheimer's, I bet. Yeah, he clearly has dementia, like 100%. I don't know any old people. All the old people I care about died when they were young, so they never made it to be old. But from everyone that I've seen do interviews and doctors and stuff, they're like, these are clear signs of dementia. Like clear signs. And who said Karen, if it wasn't the brain, I guarantee it was the brain. This is like one of those quintessential, like, if he said it wasn't that, this is a safe bet it was the brain. It's just like when he's like, I never wrote Jeff Epstein that wonderful enigma poem about wonderful secrets. And then that came out like, oh yeah, no, he totally did. And he doodled an underage girl as the outline. Like as soon as, he denies it, it happened. You know it. This is so funny though, because there's so many parts of this where you're like, this is the president? This is the people who are like, yeah, he should lead the country. I'm going to let you listen to it in its entirety because it's so stupid. This guy is so stupid. You should just like retire, dude. You know what I mean? Like, fucking call it quits, bro.
So if they want to release it, it's okay with me to release it. It's perfect.
What would be? Can you tell us what they were looking at?
For what, releasing?
No. What part of your body was the MRI looking
I
at?
have no idea. It was just an MRI. What part of the body? It wasn't the brain because I took a cognitive test and I aced it. I got a perfect mark.
He even looks like a little kindergartner when he's talking about acing the dementia test. Oh my God. Holy shit. So much to unpack there. Okay. Let's get back. I got sidetracked. We're going to get back to the Charlie Kirk thing. If you don't follow, who is this? like Jolly Ginger, Jolly Old Ginger or something on TikTok and YouTube. He talks about Charlie Kirk and how the flags are at half staff, and he is out, it looks like, at the Capitol. I think he's going to say, I'm going to play this audio for you.
Flags. I'm standing in front of Union Station, and I want
Union Station, I'm guessing in D.C.
you to notice that the flags are flying at full staff. If you go to the White House right now, the flag there is flying at full staff too. If you go to the Capitol building, that flag's flying at full staff. All the flags across this country are flying at full staff. These same flags that were immediately flown at half staff when a podcaster, a far-right white supremacist podcaster, was shot and killed by an assassin. These flags were at half staff immediately. Last week, one of our own soldiers, one of our own service members, was gunned down in the street senselessly by an assailant. The soldier was illegally deployed here. The day after that soldier was shot and the day that soldier died, the president was bragging about his accomplishments on the golf course and how he won West Virginia by so many votes. And when asked if he would attend the funeral of that soldier, he said he hadn't even thought about it. And now, going on almost a week later, the flags haven't even been lowered to honor the sacrifice of that soldier. Donald Trump, the Republican Party, MAGA, don't give a fuck about our troops. Couldn't even give a fuck less. They're using the death of this soldier to push forward their own political agenda. They're using the death of this soldier to try to further their illegal deployment of troops to D.C. They're using the death of this soldier to further their plot against immigrants and to further their rhetoric against immigrants. They're using the death of this soldier to further their hate and bigotry, but they are doing nothing to acknowledge the loss by that family, the loss by the National Guard, the loss by this country. They're doing nothing to acknowledge the sacrifice of that soldier. They can't even fucking fly the flags at half staff for a fallen soldier who was senselessly slain in the street. Shame the fuck on you, you draft dodging, bone spur, traitor ass motherfucker. I want you to...
I would highly recommend checking out his channels. I know he's on TikTok, YouTube. Was it Jolly Ginger? Jolly Old Ginger? I forget. And then this, oh my God, this, I want to play this for you. This I got off TikTok too. Again, I want to bring this to you, and then we're going to talk about Luigi and the buy now, pay later trends from America. America, not doing the best. I think that's on our license plate right now. This audio I was listening to this weekend, and this is horrific. This is a lady who has cancer, and she's in the senator's office. I'm just going to let her explain it.
I'm on the Affordable Care Act, and next year my premium is going to be $34,000, and my out-of-pocket will be $15,000. This is Maine. My health care has the potential for being $49,000.
So she's complaining about the subsidies that were stripped to give tax breaks to billionaires. And she's in Maine's Senator Angus King's office describing how much it's going to cost her just to have health care. Not to utilize anything, just to have it. And how much she makes.
And I retired early to take care of my terminally ill mother. My husband makes $50,000, brings home $50,000 a year. Our health care could possibly be $49,000 out of a $67,000 income, which is 77% of our annual income.
So she's explaining that healthcare next year, because this dude, who doesn't have to worry about cost of healthcare, could be $50,000. They make $77,000. She stopped working to take care of her terminally ill mother, and it gets worse.
My insurance next year, so that means I won't be getting it, because who can afford that? I will probably not get insurance next year, because I literally can't afford it, and this right here is cancer on my face. My last appointment's in December, and my doctor's guessing that I will need more treatment, but I won't get it. I might be one of the 51,000 people that dies next year of cancer.
So she just said, she's pointing to something on her face and said, this is cancer. And she's not going to have health care. And she might be part of that number that we talk about. We talk about as a number. She said 51,000 that die of cancer, but I talk about the number of 65,000 or more Americans that die from lack of access to health care. And the reason I felt this was important to let you hear, I wish I could let you see it. So hit subscribe, hit notification bell. Once we get this channel big enough, we'll have a better setup. Because it's important to understand that those numbers are people. Those are Americans that didn't have to die. It's amazing to me how Elon Musk and that right-wing grift, the right-wing propaganda arm, the grifters who, you know, they care about population and all this shit. Well, they don't, because the easiest way to keep the population steady is, you know, keep everyone healthy. This is a simple one. Medicare for all. Healthcare for everybody. Paid for by Elon's taxes. You want to keep people alive. You want to keep the population. Well, there's 65,000 plus people, Americans, not just people, Americans, that die from lack of access to healthcare. And this lady's saying, I could be one of those people next year because of this big, horrendous, I got to create a new word, Dublobless. There's got to be, not heinous, not demonstrative, demanus, a demanus. There's got to be a new word. We got to come up with new words for how catastrophically horrific, strophic, catarific. No, catarific sounds like you got a terrific cat. But because he wanted to give people tax, or not people, the billionaires, his donor class, the wealthy, the swamp that he lives in, because he wanted to give them tax breaks, he cut the subsidies to balance it out. And this lady, sharing her story, said, you know, I might not be here next year. And that is horrific. I don't know if you're an American or not, but we should all be very much against people dying just because they didn't have the money to pay for healthcare. It's fucking crazy. Crazy. Oh, did you guys see this dude? Not this one, sorry. You know, I posted about what's his name? This makeup wearing turd. He was tweeting, calling Tim Waltz the R word. And look at this. You know, we say, like, it sucks that there's a contingent of Americans that think, until it happens to me, I'm safe. I'm safe. And as long as I'm safe, I don't give a fuck if people get hurt or whatever happens to people, if they suffer, if they have to use buy now, pay later for groceries. We're going to get to that. There's a contingent of America that thinks like that, and you shouldn't. You should think like, hey, we're better when everyone's doing better. You know, like, we as a country are better. If you think you're an American and you're proud to be a patriot and you celebrate your nation, but then also celebrate when your people in your nation suffer, you're not a patriot or American. You're just a hateful little troll. And this is one of those dudes. MAGA power broker takes revenge on Trump for using awful slur. Indiana Republican Mike Brohusek said he will oppose the GOP redistricting efforts after Trump called Tim Waltz the R word. And Mike writes this long thing. This is a Republican dude in Indiana, or where is it? I don't give a shit. Doesn't matter. They're all the same. Indiana, whatever. All these Republicans are the same. They think it's not going to affect me. I don't care. But now he's saying, many of you asked my position on redistricting. I've been unapologetic advocate for people with intellectual disabilities since the birth of my second daughter. Those of you that don't know, I can't read that. There's something in the way. My family might not know my daughter has Down syndrome. This is not the first time our president has used these insulting and derogatory references, and his choices of words have consequences. I'll be voting no on redistricting. This is so dumb. It's like, bro, if you heard him use that word before, if you knew he was this person, why now? Like, why now? It bothered you now? You know what I mean? It's like, there's just people that fucking have principle that are like, I can't partner with the dude who treats people like that. Like, he's a scumbag, you know? But now, all of a sudden, now, Mike, Indiana Republicans are like, oh, now I'm going to not let you redistrict. I'm going to vote against it because you used the R word. It's like, you fucking pussy, you know? God damn, it really bothers me. Because these people, like, now he's pretending like he has character. Now he's like, oh, now I'm going to vote no. I get it. You know, you think this is the stand you're going to take on Trump. He'll just fucking, you know, back somebody else. And there will be some other yes man ready to take your place. It's like you take the stand before. Because now you just look like a fucking moron. It's like you allowed him to walk over your family that whole time. You allowed him to treat you like this that whole time? Why now? You know, oh, you had enough? What are you, the battered wife to finally had enough? Fuck, man. At least a battered wife, like, has a fucking, you know, legit issue going on. You were just a... you were just a lackey and thought that you were going to profit and benefit off this. Until I'm guessing your family was like, Dad, why is the president talking like that? You know, and you had to go home and explain it. It gets a little different when it's, you know, you yourself. There's so many people like this, you know, that are hoping to benefit. No Republican has principles outside the money they get. There it is. He was hoping that the pool in the backyard, probably an above ground one, you know, would make up for all the things he had to excuse his president from doing. And why, when his daughter's like, Dad, you know, why is the president saying stuff like that? Like, would you let him say that to me? He probably had a hard time sleeping at night and probably at some point was like, I can't, you know, the president is directly insulting my family. And it's just amazing to me that this fucking dude, you know, allowed it to go on that long. Because it's real easy. You just be like, I'm not with that. It's so many spineless cowards that, you know, I'll take any amount of money and you can treat me however you want. A bunch of bitches. All right, now let's talk about a hero. There's a hero among us. Where is my photo of the hero? Some call him a saint. I'm going to say it's nothing short. He saved millions of lives, restricting. There was a healthcare company, insurance scammer, that was going to put time limits on anesthesia, and they rolled back that policy. We call him Saint Luigi. And right now they're fighting in court to get some things. Oh shit, this was another person who bailed out. We'll talk about that. Where is my Luigi stuff? Oh, it's way over here, sorry. The defense, Luigi, fighting to exclude evidence from his trial. The defense is trying to get some charges thrown, or they got charges thrown out in September. They're zeroing in on what they say was unconstitutional police conduct that threatens his right to a fair trial. I would say so many things have threatened his right to a fair trial. You know, just that perp walk they did with the entire, like, New York state government and every police officer they had in helicopters. There was like some, you know, villain in a Batman movie. They contend that the Manhattan District Attorney Office should be prevented from showing the notebook and other things to jurors because the police didn't have a warrant to search the backpack. They also want to suppress some of Mangione's statements because officers started asking him questions before telling him he had the right to remain silent, which is crucial. I mean, here in Trump's America, due process is kind of gone, so we'll see how this goes. But there was also, like, Pam Blondy saying, you know, you can look that up. But, you know, even the Attorney General, or whatever her name is, Pam Blondy, the highest lawyer in the land, was commenting on this, which I would say, you know, that kind of poisons the pot a little. That taints the pool, you know? When she's commenting, like, just keep your mouth shut. But they're idiots. So, and I linked this down below because this is a really, really interesting thing that they're looking to get thrown out. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they succeed. But it was just good to see Luigi. He should be covered. We should be following this because I believe innocent till proven guilty. I believe we should free Luigi. I don't think he did anything wrong. Handsome man, too. Look at that dude. Look at that man. Handsome man. He looks good. We send you all the best, Luigi. We wish you well, right? Hold on. Where was that thing? Can you imagine if any other politician said, I had an MRI and I have no idea why? That's so funny. Where was the other part? Oh, here it is. Did you see this? Speaking of who Trump sets free, a private equity investor who scammed thousands of people in a $1.6 billion scheme. This is bananas. People, right? I lost my whole life savings, and he just got pardoned. He defrauded 10,000 investors. I mean, the golden age is for grifters right now. Absolute grifters. Love Luigi. Love Luigi. Innocent until proven guilty. Here he is. Those are the, I believe that's from today. The photos of him in court. Just a handsome man. You know, just a good looking fella. Ready to be set free. Mistrial. Or whatever, I don't know. Here, here. Bang the gavel. Mistrial. The government was meddling in his affairs. And free healthcare for all. What else? Oh, this is what I wanted to talk about. Did you guys see this buy now, pay later thing? You've probably seen it. Klarna. What's the other one? Klarna and Affirm. Klarna and Affirm. This is from Fortune, but they did subscribe to keep reading Fortune. And I say, fuck you. I'm not going to pay you $1. You have ads everywhere. Look, there's an ad here. I'm like, I'm so sick of that shit. So I went to The Motley Fool, where they had the same article, just different, written differently. A different AI bot wrote this one. And this article went into the buy now, pay later, which this stuff is so depressing. And this is what I mean by the mainstream media has totally hijacked the conversation. Because this is bad news. You know, this buy now, pay later story, a quarter of U.S. consumers are using buy now, pay later for groceries. Hold on, where is it? Here we go. Top categories for that BNPL is buy now, pay later. That's when you see the Affirm or the Klarna, and it says, hey, do you want to break this into payments? 27% of people are using it for groceries. This 1 in 4 in America are financing groceries. This is... I don't think words can express how fucking crazy this is. This is bananas. And meanwhile, you know, there's huge penalties, huge fees, huge all these things if you miss payments. And this is what this article goes into. I linked it down below. But I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. And then they showed who is using it. Less than 25,000, of course. Paid late. Who uses and misses payments on buy now, pay later. You see the numbers of the ages, the salaries. I mean, in an ideal society, nobody would be using buy now, pay later. People are using this in place of credit cards, which I understand. But things are not getting better. Again, when MAGA bots and the Russian ops start to want to argue with you about, oh, no, like somebody, I posted a thing about, you know, groceries being 500, and this dude pretended to break down in my comments. I'm not even going to reply because it's just a waste of breath. If these people want to defend, and the one thing that caught me is I just bought a gallon of milk, and this dude said a gallon of milk was $3.99. And I said, just fucking take a picture, like, you know, instead of telling me the average price, like, just tell me where you're buying a gallon of milk for $3.99. Because I know I paid $5.99 for a gallon of milk. And I've not seen gallon of milk. I mean, a half gallon of milk, $3.99, okay. But the thing is when you get into those conversations with people about, oh, well, eggs are actually only this much, eggs are only that much, gas is only this much. It's like nothing has gotten better. I don't give a shit if eggs are only 20 cents more than they were. I don't care. Because I know chips are $5 a bag. A gallon of milk was almost $6, after $5.99 tax. And overall, everything's more expensive. People are not doing better. Like, the conversation isn't tit for tat. The conversation is like, shit is getting wild. People are financing groceries. 1 in 4 people are financing groceries from this poll. And this poll, at the end of it, again, you can read this. I don't take a picture of it. But this poll, at the end, it said we surveyed 2,000 people, and they said all the dates. Like, over the course of the year, they kept surveying 2,000 people. So, I mean, it wasn't a small poll. It wasn't a huge one. But still, the fact that this many people, a quarter of people are financing groceries. You can't even buy groceries anymore. That's the conversation. It's not, oh, well, gas was $2.99. I don't give a shit. I really don't. You think anybody's saving up to buy a home? Do you think jobs are paying more? I mean, they've raided our streets. They've illegally sent the military into our streets. They have a private police force getting people out. And this was all in the promise of, like, prices will go down, your wages will go up. And none of that shit correlates, Getting rid of people and giving tax breaks to billionaires doesn't make our wages go up. Organizing, socialism, redistributing the wealth. There we go. We tax the wealthy and we put it back into our community so people don't have to pay 77% of their salary on healthcare, and they can spend that money elsewhere. It's just amazing, because I don't know what their end game here is, the maggots and their leadership. But at some point, just people are going to have no money. And then what does the economy run it on? Buy now, pay later until everybody misses their payments? Look at this. 31% missed a payment, 21% missed a payment, 17% missed a payment. Even the 100 plus, 100,000 more, 9%. 1 out of 10 people missed a payment. Like, let's walk this out 2 years from now, 3 years from now, right? They say, oh, you still got 3 more years of them. And I say, can this MRI make it that long? It's not looking good, folks. Like, what does this look like in a few years? You can laugh at socialism all you want, you fucking moron. It's funny. People that don't even know what socialism is, act like it's the plague that capitalism is. Mind you, 1 in 4 people are financing groceries under capitalism. But I'm not here to, argue it's stupid. I'm saying, where does this end up? Because last year, people voted for Trump because he promised affordability. This year, he's telling you shut up about it. We're not better off a year in. We're not. You can tit for tat. You can Google averages of costs all you want. What's a year from now look like? I don't think it looks good. And I think until more people start speaking out and more people start hijacking, because the mainstream media, people like Joe Rogan and Theo Vaughn, they've all hijacked the conversation, They've made it seem like war crimes is something that you can just debate on TV and let's agree to disagree. Where, no, you take a hardline stance. Like we talked about earlier with Pete Hegseth. That's not something you debate and then say, well, let's agree to disagree. It already happened. You say, no, this is like, what separates America from the worst of the worst then? If we have no moral code, if we have no ethics, no kind of law and order that we abide by, and they can just, the regime can just do whatever they want, then aren't we just as bad as everybody else who's just doing whatever they want? And for the people who, say, oh, social, we're living in capitalism. Lived it my whole life. And I've watched it progressively get worse. So much so that, what's her name? Laura Ingraham? even said to the president, she's like, the first time home buyer age is 40 or 50 years old. She was like, this isn't good. And that's a Fox News Karen. You know, she's meant to just pucker up to his butthole. That's all Laura Ingram's job is. Just pucker up. That's it. Pucker up to Bubba's butthole. Or Bubba's best friend's butthole. My apologies. And even she was like, yo, the first time home buyer is 50. This is nuts. What is the end game? What is the Thanos snap for them? Like, do they just need all the money? Can we hurry it up? Maybe if we collectively, because if nobody wants to protest, we're all already financing everything together. What if we just collectively said, hey guys, we'll just give you all our money. Fuck it. Elon and Donald Trump, you just want all the money? Like, what are you going to do with it? Go to that island? Is that what you guys are going to do? Like, you don't do anything good with the money. You know, you're miserable anyways. These people are all miserable, mind you, you know? Like, I want you to think about your life when you don't have to stress about bills, when you have some food in the fridge, you know, when you don't have to work the next day. I want you to think about how happy you are. You probably want to just watch a good movie, hang out with family, go draw, go do something, right? You enjoy your life. You're not like, fuck, I got to try to hire a private police force to go invade my neighborhood. Like, these people are incessantly ticked off. They're incessant Karens about something. Something's always just not right, you know? Like, they can't be content. So where do we go from here? You can laugh about socialism all you want, but what we've seen in Massachusetts with the redistributing of wealth, and I use that term specifically because that's the one that scares the boomers and the maggots. The redistribution of wealth, where we taxed the millionaires and it went back to the communities, linked down below. There's always the French end game. Can we call ourselves the French Avengers? That was funny as shit. J666. The French end game. It's a French snap. It's much more sassy. I love that. Yeah. The old French, the old Jacobins. But I want you to think about, you know, the stuff the news doesn't share with you, and I'm just happy that I'm living through it, that I can explain this. That when we tax wealth, our communities do better. No kid in my state goes hungry at school. They all have lunch and breakfast paid for by taxes. Millionaires taxes specifically. So if you're not a millionaire, it's on the house, or as we say, on the mansion. And we can implement that everywhere else. We got to stop buying into this, you know, or you got to stop letting these people hijack the conversation. We need to re-hijack it. We need to Somali pirate this conversation back. And why do you think those Somalis became pirates? Because the economy was good? I hate seeing these people shit on the most vulnerable, the people who basically went to necessity survival mode, and the president and his little fascist beach bum, Stephen Miller, like, attack it ruthlessly. And they prey upon people's fears and dividing the working class. We're stronger together. This buy now, pay later thing. I encourage you to read the article. The French had it correct. Unite, make them fear us, not rule over us. Yes, 100%. But yeah, listen, we're the 99%. And you see this, American Christians don't care if your kids starve and never have. That's right. And it's heartbreaking. As somebody who loves Jesus, Jesus is my Lord and Savior. Jesus is my God consciousness. It's amazing. But I just can't figure out, and this is what I would ask you, what do you think the end game is for them? They want all the money? Why? They're not going to be happy. That's why I think the suffering, the cruelty is the point. They just want to be cruel. They don't care about the money. And once people start to wake up to like the cruelty will affect them, whether they're Arkansas soy boy farmers that voted for him, whether they were helping to gerrymander their state and got sick of having to explain the R word to their Down syndrome daughter that the president kept using. Like it doesn't matter. He has no when you're, it's like playing with fire, you know. Like fire doesn't care that you're the one that created it. It will burn you just as equally as it burn anybody else. But enough people think they're going to get, you know, heat from it. They're going to shine. What else did I have for audio? Oh, I didn't. Oh, there was some other news that I don't want to even go into. I don't know if you saw the story about the world's biggest arms producers increased revenue by 5.9% last year to a record level. I didn't include this because I didn't want to talk about it, but just something to know. You know what industry's making out like a bandit? Or like a warmonger? The arms industry. Farmers suffering. Kids going hungry. People losing their health insurance. But don't worry. The biggest arms producers increased revenue by 5.9%. This was an AP report. The world's biggest weapon-producing company saw a 5.9% increase in revenue from sales of arms and military services last year as demand was fed by the wars, as well as countries' rising military spending. 100 largest arms makers grew to $679 billion in 2024. What's funny is like their revenue is what Elon Musk is worth. Tax him. It isn't about an end game. They got duped into the American dream, spent their whole lives acquiring things that by the time they could retire, they weren't healthy enough to enjoy. Well, sim racing, that's what I'm talking about. We can rewrite the American dream. That this whole system that was set up to retire at, what does Donald Trump and Scott Bessent want? Retire at 70? So you got like a year or two left with the new declining American lifespan. We can reject this. We have the power. How do we do it? Let's figure it out. We can reject this and retire at 45. You can enjoy those golden years. Silver years. Bronze years? Bronzer years. You can enjoy your bronzer years. Hey, buddy. Sorry, just enjoy. My cat really loves me. Hi, buddy. He's such a good boy. He's such a good boy. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Who is he? You would say you are for the people, but he would see the actions and deem you bad guys. I don't know who he is. This is my cat. He's very needy. Hey, buddy. He's such a good man. 30 years of labor is plenty. I would say too much, but yes, I've already hit 30. I'm much above 30 years of labor. We can create a dream the best we can by existing without shame in our community, making events happen, taking care of elderly and young for each other, strangers, not danger, not always. But more than that, Fluffy from One Piece. I don't know One Piece. I'm so sorry. I know of it. I will have to learn. My apologies. My apologies. But I'm saying rewrite the system and implement it through law. And I specifically bring up the millionaires, the wealth tax here in Massachusetts, because that passed overwhelmingly by the people. So how do we get things on ballots where it doesn't need any kind of corrupt politician approval? How do we get movement? How do we get signatures? Because I believe that if you speak to real people one-on-one and say, do you think right now Kids going hungry at school is good for the country? No. Okay. Do you know in Massachusetts they passed the Millionaires Tax, and millionaires grew in that state. None of them fled. None of them are struggling to keep the heat on. And no kid in school goes hungry in the entire state. And we can make this work nationwide. John Ossoff. I don't know too much about him. Rand Paul. I hate Rand Paul. No, Rand Paul is one of them snakes. Speaks out both sides of his mouth. It doesn't matter if he has a good thing. I'm talking about these fucking people all gotta go. All the politicians need to be replaced, or we need to implement shit without their okay. They're all bought and paid for. Blueprint for citizen action. Amazing. Hold on. I'm going to make a note. Hopefully it's free online. By the way, I included a new free online book down below. I really like it. I forget the name of it. Sorry. I just hope Blueprint for Citizen Action isn't some like run for politics, you know, because that don't work. It's just like Donald Trump and this regime is showing you how brittle this system is and how it was just really like, you know, a gentleman's agreement, like handshakes. Like, hey, the court's going to say don't do that, and you got to abide. And it's all made up. It's all make-believe. None of it's legit. Donald Trump is ignoring court orders, doing whatever the fuck he's want, and people are dying. That's just the reality of it. So how do we do that for what the people want? Because clearly people want healthcare. I think if I asked anybody, if you had an illness, would you like to see a doctor and not have to go, well, do you have money? And then you said, yes, I have this much money. I said, oh, it costs a little bit more than that. You can't see a doctor. I think everybody would want to ensure their own health. This is not like, this is survival. You know, this is human instinct shit. What I'm saying is, how do we circumvent the system and fucking override it? That's what I want people to think about. In past 40 years of labor, looking at another 10. I can't afford food, something's going to change my life pretty fucking soon. And that's one of the things that bug me. I hear thank you for sharing that, but I hear that so often. You know, doing this live stream, I'm very fortunate and very blessed that people share things with me. There's a lot of trolls and there's a lot of hate that's spewed at me, but there are a lot of people that open up and share things like that. And the amount of people that have echoed that sentiment is unnerving to me. Unnerving. And it is so disturbing that I'm just not convinced America really wants this. You know, I'm not convinced. When you see those people in the chat that are saying like MAGA, Trump, those are bots. Like these people are paid for, man. And that's not a joke. That's not a tinfoil hat. What I'm saying is like Elon Musk exposed it with Twitter. These are accounts based in Nigeria, Russia. Tim Pool, paid for by Russia. And this huge psyop to convince Americans that what's going on is more normal than it is. None of this shit's normal. The Venezuelan dronings, kicking people out of healthcare so billionaires can have a $60,000 tax break, or millionaires, whatever it is. None of this is normal and none of this is natural. But if you flicked on the news, and this is what I was talking about, I'm going to find a clip for tomorrow. I will find a clip for tomorrow. Because I was listening to clips over this weekend. I said, this is fucking bizarre that these are like intellectuals. People that are like, have degrees or shit. That are like, well, you should have evidence if you're going to say they're trafficking and da-da-da. And it's like, that's not the conversation is, these are war crimes. How do you defend yourself? You know, like that's how you start the premise. The premise is you've done this thing. I don't know what I can say on YouTube, so I'm kind of weary. But, you know, you've droned this boat. Many people have lost their... And how do you defend yourself from that? Because right now you're looking like war criminals. The lot of you. Tribunals, you know, Nuremberg, all that shit. Not... let them, well, they said it was this. It's like the trust me, bro, doesn't work when you're the most powerful military in the world and you have access to everything. You know, like you could do a million things. James Branch, saying that you're not a bot is exactly what a bot would do. I'm not a bot. I am not a bot. Right. Okay. Okay. Just, hey, listen, I tell this to everybody because you're here on YouTube. You know, you can post a short. So just post a short of you in America, you know, in your American street. You don't even have to be in it. Just show us those American police sirens that usually go past everybody's house at some point, you know, because you're in America. I'm just done with dealing with this. These people are everywhere, and they're all trying to convince us that socialism is bad, even though it works in every case that we've fucking redistributed millionaires' wealth to poor people, and it always benefits the community, or whatever the fuck you want to say. I just use that one because that's the easiest one, and that's the one that scares the Russians the most when we start talking about that. All right, guys. That's it for today. I gotta go find what I was listening to this weekend, because there were like 4 different interviews. We're here, we're beeping, get used to it. Exactly. Wait, what? In a socialist, that's what I see. It's just I just don't think people understand what socialism is. Socialism is all the workers getting the profits. You don't need a CEO. You don't need a boss. The workers are a union, and they make the decisions. We have unions in America. That's one of the core tenets of socialism. It's power to the workers. And instead of you getting paid so little, so right now we're seeing the economy, people worry about the price of eggs because you're paid so little, and because the big people that don't punch in, that you don't know if they're there or not, they get paid so much, they have so much of the wealth, so we can't live. So what in socialism is it eradicates the need for those people, and a collective makes the decisions and has the power because they're the ones doing everything. And that's just a bare bones lifelong union carpenter. There we go. So you understand. All right, guys. Hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. Let's check in tomorrow. Peace.